So I'm gonna do this the usual way, where we just go around and give it a score, or so I will give Age of Reptiles by Ricardo Delgado 8.5 overall. I enjoyed the artwork and all the stories. Thought they're all pretty clear, and I'm a sucker for dinosaurs, so it's pretty easy for me to enjoy. Go to Patrick next, then.
But first, what is your favorite dinosaur?
T-Rex.
Oh, okay. It's a little basic, Alexander, but that's okay.
That's how I live.
That's all right. I'll start with a 7.5. I thought the artwork was very well done, and I really liked how he managed to convey a lot of story and emotion without a single line of dialogue. Sean has to say words too, so.
Can I just point out how inclusive Keith and Lucy's cam is with both their names on it and its position so you can see both of them?
Don't start. Don't start. Fine, just go. I'm stuck with this guy for like God knows how long, so just, yeah.
Are in 8 and the dialogue is 0 because there's no dialogue.
All right, we're gonna move.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right. Julie, how about you?
Hi, I'm Jolie. My favorite dinosaur is the Ankylosaurus.
Oh no, you stole mine.
That's mine as well.
My second favorite dinosaur is a pterodactyl. Okay.
Not a dinosaur, but sorry.
Wow. Ooh.
All right, bye. Okay, so I give this book a 7.
Oh, just before we go on, my favorite dinosaur is the one with a fan on its back. I don't remember what that's called.
Dinosaurus.
That one. Everyone has to give their favorite dinosaurs now, so that's a thing now.
All right, how about you, Alicia?
So, hi, I'm Alicia. My favorite dinosaur is the Ankylosaurus, or Petrie from Land Before Time. Just saying. And I give it a 9 out of 10. I've never read anything quite like it before. I like that they told a story without dialogue. I love the art, the colors, the line work. Like it's just, I really enjoyed it.
All right. How about you, Mike? L?
I don't know. I mean, because I've read this before, and the first time I read it, I think I gave it a 6 or a 7. I might give it a higher rating. I think the art on a technical level is like maybe a 9. It's really good. But I'm just not sure if the art is as, if it utilizes the comic book medium as well as it could, or if it's, if it's really just storyboards put into comic book form. And I guess we can talk more about that later if there's really a difference. But I definitely think the art is good. And I also think the coloring is like a 10 out of 10. It's really good. But yeah, we can talk more in detail later. But I'm just wondering how, I don't think the story is spectacular. I just think it's serviceable.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
Oh yeah, my favorite dinosaur. What's the one with the red one with the horns? What is that?
Carnotaur.
That's a real dinosaur, a Carnotaur?
Yeah, it's called bull.
That's my favorite, I guess.
What about you, Chris?
I think I give it an 8 overall. I really did like the artwork. I thought it conveyed a lot of emotion and story without saying anything, obviously. Favorite dinosaur is an Ankylosaurus.
You, Juniper.
My favorite dinosaur is whichever one is in Alberta, and you can see inside of its guts and see what it ate for breakfast. I don't remember what one that is, though. I give it an 8.5, I think. There were some story beats that I thought were pretty weak, but overall I thought that being able to tell a 350-page story without words is pretty fun.
Now you, Mike. F.
Mike Prime.
Yeah, Mike Prime, whatever. My favorite dinosaur is probably, I think what they used to call a brontosaurus, the one with the really long neck. I don't know what they call it now. I mean, when I was a kid, all these dinosaurs had different names. But that's my favorite. What was it?
Allosaurus, maybe?
Allosaurus.
No,
yeah.
it was a Patasaurus, but then they changed it back to Brontosaurus.
Did
Right,
they?
Alex?
I think it's Brachiosaurus now.
Brachiosaurus?
That's
okay,
a different dinosaur. But anyway.
The one with the really long neck and ate vegetables and got eaten by the Tyrannosaurus Rex. But I give the book probably a 7. I have to be honest and say I without the words, I wasn't sure if I was interpreting the stories correctly. So I found that kind of frustrating. But I thought the artwork was spectacular and very ambitious. So there you go.
All right, and now you, Oliver.
Well, my favorite dinosaur is a Utah raptor. I'm very jealous of pack hunters right now because of how rich of a social life they have. But I'd give the book an 8. A lot of which is based, I think, on the amount of chutzpah it takes to tell a story with absolutely no dialogue at all. Like I know there have been other books that have done it, but it's not common. And it's very impressive the amount of expressiveness that he grants to the dinosaurs. So it's not the kind of book, I'll be honest, I would have picked up without a book club, but I'm glad I read it.
All right, and then lastly, I think Keith and Lucy.
Keith, Lucy.
Is your mic on, Keith? Yeah, we can't hear you.
Use a flashlight for Morse code.
Maybe they can type it out.
Well, no, they've got to have there's got to be a way.
I just texted them to turn up their volume.
I know, it was already on
There.
Oh, there you go. See, yeah.
Here's our beautiful baby boy.
Good.
Loud that you guys can hear us from wherever you are.
Shout real
Gold
loud.
star.
Yeah. I said Pachycephalosaurus, the boneheaded dinosaurs that smash their heads into each other. They're Triceratops.
I have a very specific reason for choosing Triceratops because I recently read that they probably have like inflatable balloon noses. And I think it's so ridiculous because they have all these spiky horns and they're gonna like inflate their noses. It's the stupidest thing. I love them so much. That's true.
Didn't I read some? I feel like I remember reading somewhere that Triceratops doesn't actually exist, and it's like the adult form of like a totally different but like similar dinosaur. I might be remembering wrong, but
well, way to ruin everything.
I'm pretty sure that was true for a different dinosaur.
Yeah, we can make this argument for like all dinosaurs.
Also, I love that there was one dinosaur that there were 2 separate ones.
are dinosaurs real or were they invented by the liberal media?
Yeah.
Or they're
aliens.
Absolutely invented.
Because liberals want you to go to museums. That's why.
I thought the devil put them there to confuse.
Liberals want you to fund museums and the arts.
Yes.
And the only way they do it is if you got cool dinosaurs.
Oh, have Lucy come up to the mic. I can't hear her.
Oh, okay.
We're both kind of far from it.
You're used to screaming in court.
Get closer. Yeah, there you go. All right.
Push Keith further back.
Yeah.
That's
All right,
fine.
excellent. That's good. Excellent.
I would give it probably an 8, I think, out of 10. I'll get into that later, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad we picked it because it was, like Oliver said, it's something I wouldn't have read on my own, but I'm really happy I read it.
And when I was a little kid, maybe not so little kid, but I used to read Gone, which was the tiny T-Rex wandering around, and there were no words in that too. Dinosaurs are just cool, but this is a lot bloodier than that book was. That was a kid's book. So, but yeah, 8.5. Yeah,
Oh shit!
yeah. Julie's got it. So, but yeah, no. So
Wait, I did not see what Jolie held up. Oh
it's
shit!
real cute. Is he like? What is he holding?
no, that's his foot.
Oh, okay. But he was like, I was really hoping he was holding a guitar, and I was like, I need to buy this right now.
No, they're a little bit more realistic than that. But yeah, no, it's yeah. I'm used to reading stories about dinosaurs with no dialogue, I guess. So I was prepped for this. Although this is definitely way more violent than Gone ever gets. You know, he'll grab somebody by the tail, swing them around, but that's about it. Not eviscerate them and their whole family eats them. So.
All right, so it's question time then. If everybody went.
Yeah.
All right.
Everyone's nodding. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I can see. Just can't see me.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right.
He's like the Phantom of the book club.
Wait,
Alright.
he didn't say what his favorite dinosaur is.
T-Rex, because I'm basic.
Okay. No, wait, you did say that, I think.
Yeah.
Mostly joking. You're cool, Alexander.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, the main reason I chose this was because of the lack of dialogue. Just wanted to see if we could discuss a book that relied solely on imagery.
Is that
So,
testing us?
huh?
Sounds like you testing us.
Yes, I'm testing you. You're my rats, and this is my maze.
Oh.
What if we all did the entire rest of the meeting communicating with absolutely no words at all? It'd be very avant-garde.
Yeah.
So I guess first question will be, do you think words like dialogue and narration, I guess, would have helped or hindered the story in any way?
Oh, I would have hated dialogue in this. It wouldn't have worked. I liked it the way it was.
Like, what would they say? What would you all have them say?
Roar.
Like dinosaur stories where they talk. Like,
No, like, what would you have them say that wasn't conveyed by, like, the face? Like, what words would you want to accompany the, which I thought was sufficient and effective, but, like, what would you have them say? Like, oh, I'm going to get you. Like, what would you have them say?
you destroyed my eggs. Now I must get revenge.
Like, I'm an ego T-Rex. You killed my whatever. Prepare to die. I don't know.
What if the words weren't thought balloons or spoken dialogue? What if the words were a narrator offering some explanations as to what was going on, giving more
Like
context?
Milo and Otis?
I'd probably read it in Morgan Freeman's voice.
I was about to say that.
Yeah,
Like a Morgan Freeman narration thing happening. Yes.
I don't think it would help at all. I think it's better like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more effective this way.
Yeah, the drawings are pretty expressive.
Yeah, I
but-
was really impressed with that. Like, it really looked like the dinosaurs are like the one where like the father T-Rex was asleep and he looked so happy. I was like, oh, like it was so like it was very little details that made him look really happy. So it didn't look too cartoony. I was really like impressed with that.
What about the idea of having what is that called? Wham, pow, like the sound effects. Would that have helped? It was like, how do you pronounce it, Jolie? Onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia. Like even like growl or whatever. Would that have helped? Growl.
No, I think that the drawings are so they're
Detailed?
Expressive.
Mm-hmm.
There was just so much on the page. It was very like, I don't know how to use the word horror vacui in a sentence at this point, but like there's too much to have that. And then I don't know, I think it would take me out of the story. It would make it more, it would remind me that this could potentially not be real, I guess.
Yeah, like I think there's I mean, there's obviously a lot we don't know about how things actually were back there, that putting in sound effects like that would kind of make how artificial it is much more obvious and take me out of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, like at the start of, I was just thinking about this, at the start of part 3, I realized that like the stuff that I can relate to, like, is the stuff that I can hear. So, oh wait, how does it focus? Maybe if I put it in front of my face. Now I'm a YouTuber. Oh God. Now I know why they do it, to block out other detail. But like when there's big action like this, when they're in the woods and stuff, you can hear the woods because that's the only sort of sound I can relate to. And then maybe stomping and wrestling, and assuming that the way that it sounds when they eat or when their eggs crack open, that it's all the same sort of sound. And that was kind of magical about the book.
And I think this page with the rain does the same thing. Like you could hear it. Hear it.
When there's so much detail on each page. Sorry, I'm doing this on my phone, so I can't hold anything up for you guys. But there's so much detail in each panel that I think words or blocks of text or speech bubbles, it would just get in the way. It would take away from that. And like someone else already said it, I think Mike said it, it would feel less real.
There was one panel where the point of view was thousands of feet in the air and you were looking down and you could see the pterodactyls flying.
Would that be this one?
Could have been. Okay. Yeah. That's it. And I thought that was so cool because when I looked at that, I just heard the silence, if I could say such a thing. It just like seemed so quiet that I was like all of a sudden like totally immersed in the story and everything else disappeared. I thought that was kind of magical. And that's never happened in another book for me. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
Can I ask our resident dinosaur expert a question?
I'll try to answer it.
So do you know if like the color choices and the palette was like inspired by some kind of research, or was he just like doing what struck his fancy?
Most of it struck his fancy.
Okay.
Then I think in the third story he based it off like real animals. I think.
Oh. Okay. I mean, I like it. So I was just wondering if it was about like trying to be scientifically accurate or just sort of an aesthetic thing. So.
No, way more aesthetic.
Okay.
So words would have taken everybody out of the story then?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would just made it so silly because like plot-wise, like their motivation seemed, I mean, it's pretty clear, but like adding words would just make it.
It would have made the story feel a lot more campy, I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah. If you wanted to have like a Land Before Time type of book.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It was like a Land Before Time, but really violent. The gritty reboot.
Yeah.
Oh.
90s gritty reboot.
No.
Also, what was it?
I have a question. Could somebody, there were 3 stories, right?
Yeah.
Could somebody tell me the difference between the 3 stories? Because to me, it seemed like every story was about being chased and being eaten.
I feel like the first 2, I'm having a hard time distinguishing, but the third like really struck out to me because it's different in the sense of it's not just about survival or eating other things. Like there's this sort of thread about them trying to migrate to a different place, which was different from the other 2.
It sort of felt like the third story was more akin to a nature documentary, while the first 2 were more stories with characters in quotes. I thought
the whole thing kind of felt like I feel like even if they don't have these kind of familial relationships, like the animals themselves, sometimes some documentaries will kind of push that on the animals. And I felt like I was watching one of those.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of anthropomorphizing happening, which is fine. It's fine.
Yeah, like I was fine with that, but like that is a thing that happens in some documentaries too. It's like Jane Goodall was like, "Oh, these chimps are horrible, but let's cut all that out."
These horrible chimps.
The Horrible Chimps is the name of my alternative rock band, actually.
But did anyone have that kind of reaction where you're like, "Oh, these horrible dinosaurs and their horrible eating of things"? Or, I don't know.
Yeah, and there's like, the tribal warfare story where they're like, they have grudges against each other and they're just like plotting and scheming about like, oh, well, they killed my family, so I'm going to kill their eggs and, steal their eggs and take it back to our giant thorn bush
Bite
thing.
your thumb at me, sir.
It's an Easter story.
I don't think they would have processed things at that high a level, but I'm okay with that kind of literary agency. Like that's cool.
I was pretty happy when the Ankylosaurus clubbed the T-Rex in the face, I want to say. It's like, fuck yeah.
This is a baby dinosaur floating down the river on its like parent's body corpse that floats out to the ocean. It's like, oh, this is kind of grim.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking gruesome in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yeah, my main complaint was that a lot of it, like Mike said, was just, I liked a lot of the book, but I found that where it was lacking was basically, it was just like one long hunt scene. And it was...
Was there one long
all the hunt scene? And so for all the anthropomorphizing that we did, that the author did with the dinosaurs, it was just like, okay, well, this dinosaur was shitting at me, so I'm going to beat the fuck out of him and eat its kids. And it didn't really... I felt like there was a lot of focus on that violent nature, which nature's violent. For all the anthropomorphizing, I would have really enjoyed seeing some different behavioral aspects of the dinosaurs, which we got a little bit in the third story, but again, it did not feel like it was enough to make up for everything else.
Well, I was thinking about what could have made it better. And what do you guys think about the idea of having a single protagonist that you follow from the beginning to the end? Like, maybe there's something that happens at the beginning that makes the one dinosaur think, okay, I've got to migrate to this new area because of, I don't know what, the climate or something. And then we follow him or her through the whole story. And then that way, maybe there'd be a little bit more personality to that protagonist rather than just restarting over with new dinosaurs each time and having to kill each other, right? But that would have made it better, you think?
I don't know that really would have... I feel like the narrative story structure was its own problem, and that the groups of dinosaurs was not necessarily the issue there. I like the concise, kind of cordoned off stories, personally.
I did too.
Lucy, you need to get closer to the mic. We can't hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to agree with Juniper, and that I like that there were short stories, like sectioned off. Like, I like when comics do that. Like, it felt like the right size. It wasn't too short, wasn't too long. I felt like there was a beginning and an end to it. And I liked that. I kind of like that there was a little bit of space to play around with, like, well, why are they migrating? Like, we don't know. Like, I kind of like that you could make it up in your head. Like, I like that there was enough. It was just enough to show me. Like, they gave me enough outline to work with where I didn't feel like they were being lazy.
Would you have liked to have seen like a meet cute, like
yes,
before the eggs?
Yes.
Like their whole relationship, mating, courting rituals and all that?
Yes,
So we didn't touch
that
on
would have been great. That can be in the second book.
Well, there is a second.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of focus on like family relations within and like parent-child and some light relationships between parents. And so, yeah, and for all the anthropomorphizing, I really would have liked to see maybe a meet cute or something. I don't know necessarily that, but some more diverse story on that.
They're swiping through on Tinder.
Their eyes lock across the scavenged corpse.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I did complain about this. Like, they're killing other dinosaurs like so much. They're dinosaurs. They're cold-blooded. They don't really have to eat as much as they do in the books. Like, they have, it's like when you see like a alligator, like they eat one deer a year, and they have a whole other year to fuck around and do whatever they want. So, but yeah, no, this is just like they're just fighting all the time. I was like, yeah, you could have used more. Has anyone read Raptor Red?
No.
No.
It's another story about dinosaurs, and it's like it came out shortly after Jurassic Park, and there's a lot that's similar to the story. It's a novel, not a comic book, but it follows them. A bunch of raptors, and it does have things about them like worrying about family members. I mean, there's no dialogue throughout that book either, so a lot of this reminded me of that, but it came out at like kind of the same time too, as these books seemed started. So I don't know how much it influenced that or not.
Well, this scene behind me is my favorite scene in the book. That fight between the T-Rex and that whatever that
Ichthyosaur. Oh wait, no, that's not what it is.
was. That what it is? Yeah.
Megalodon.
Yeah, that scene in the water, where it goes on for like a few pages. It gave me that thrill I used to have watching old Godzilla movies when I was a kid.
Yeah, I really thought that dinosaur was going to eat it. Like the T-Rex was like, oh, this is how he dies.
Yeah, it was suspenseful.
It was.
Is that the same T-Rex? Has it been the same T-Rex throughout?
I
don't think so. But I mean, it's left open to you.
It might be.
What?
Well, but you mentioned Godzilla, and it does talk about being very inspired by Ray Harryhausen and King Kong and those types of movies. And it's just you can definitely see it. These big giant monsters, just animals running into each other, and not much thought behind it by the animals, but or the characters of the dinosaurs, but it definitely reminded me of like there's that scene in King Kong where King Kong fights a T-Rex, and it goes on for a while, but it's like you can kind of see it in like the big giant dinosaur's eyes, like this isn't worth going on, and they kind of like split up. That's how these scenes end a couple times.
Mike L mentioned that it looked more like a storyboard. I know he's not here, but the author actually did work as a storyboard artist for a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Do you think it works more like a storyboard or more like a comic book? I guess what he was trying to get at.
That's a fine line, though, honestly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you could make the argument that some storyboards could just work as a comic book. And the fact that dialogue wasn't needed kind of like blurs that line even further. Like, I can see why he's such a good storyboard artist, and he has some pretty big time movies under his belt.
I wonder. So, one thing I wonder about. So, Juniper had mentioned that she felt that the book kind of felt like a very long hunting scene. So I wonder, like, do you all feel that the book would have benefited from being shorter, or do you think it was good at its current length?
Well, I mean, you wouldn't have read it, in the original form. It was broken up into 3 different stories, so you wouldn't necessarily read them all back to back. Maybe that was part of, I don't know, the plan, I guess. It's like, I mean, like, they would have been sold separately. So.
Batteries not included.
Yeah.
I'm okay with all the hunting. Like, I just really felt like it seemed like a National Geographic special. Just like maybe a narration would have been okay if it was handled very delicately, but I was perfectly fine with it being wordless. I was fine with all the hunting and the violence because it felt very much like, oh, and then the chick eats the other chick. Like it felt like that, just like the horror of nature.
Just a never-ending cycle of eat or beaten.
Yes.
Going on for millions of years.
Isn't that what life is, really?
1 second.
What do you think about the evolution of the art, pun intended? Because it does change for each story.
Yeah. It's very it seemed a lot more vibrant in the first one, and not quite as it was still good in the second and third story, but it seemed like it was particularly good in the first.
The third story had a lot less detail in the art, and the color palette wasn't as broad as the first 2 stories.
A little more muted.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was more monochromatic. There's more, if I can recall correctly, more scenes of dinosaurs blending into their surroundings in the third story.
I don't know. I feel like there was that was probably done specifically because they introduced us to at first it was some dinosaurs, 2 species that are kind of battling it out. Then it was 3 or 4, and then it was the whole world opened. I noticed that the palette got broader and a little more clean, earthy once we saw or started to see more dinosaurs. Where did I was reading on my phone. Okay. Sorry, that's the end of that thought.
There's a balance between the number of dinosaurs and color. The more the dinosaurs go up, the lower the color.
And the less detailed they get.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate because he includes just the right details. So it's and could you imagine rendering all of those dinosaurs? Because you know that he did.
I can't believe he did it in the first 2 books.
Yeah. All right. Real with y'all. It kind of feels like we're running out of things to say about this book.
I mean, unless Alex has more questions.
No, unfortunately.
Did anyone else have a favorite scene?
I liked when you could see the dinosaurs inside the tidal wave. It was
Great.
frightening.
Oh, yes. That was dope.
It was terrifying. It was wonderful.
Yeah. And then there's another scene where all of the dinosaurs are being sort of swept away by water. And I think it's mostly because I have a fear of deep water. But when you can see them underwater, there's just something that's really cool about it.
There are those predator dinosaurs that turn invisible. Yeah, they're like chameleon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, is this a chameleon thing they're doing? Or what's going on here?
I mean, you can make up whatever. We don't know. So
I kind of wish there was more of that, though. It's you have this cool power. Why isn't this featured a little bit more in the comic book? But
I do enjoy that line of thinking, Keith. We don't really know what dinosaurs were like, so we can just make up any shit. Who cares? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, they should have made him talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's get
dinosaurs can talk now. They have a Brooklyn accent.
Let's have Turok drive back in his 1957 Chevelle and hunt them.
I really like this scene. It's probably my favorite. Just more from
just a white
design.
camera.
Yes.
You need to hold it closer.
Right there. Right there.
There we go.
That's the one I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Just from a sort of design perspective, too. It's just kind of amazing.
I also did quite like the scene where they're above the clouds and the little tiny like pterodactyl dudes are all fighting each other. Did quite like that.
So, but I do have a question for everybody. So, yeah, he was a storyboard artist, so I think that's his day job. And I also do think comic books in a lot of ways are kind of like, but do people so the storyboard is a comic?
Oh, Patrick, you cut out so bad
Where? What happened?
when you were
you did?
explaining things.
All of
I'm
it.
sorry. Can you hear me now?
Everyone's face
Yes.
was great.
Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. So I was just asking, what do you all think is the difference between a storyboard and a comic? Or are they different? Are they the same thing? Did I cut off again?
No, I
No,
heard you.
no,
Oh,
I
okay.
just-
It's a hard
Oh,
question.
it was
That
just
was a hard
profound.
question.
Yeah, y'all are being graded, so.
I think
Well, you go first, then I'll say what I think.
storyboards, I think, are just more less detailed, and he drew everything. As opposed to a storyboard, I think.
So it's just a matter of drafts for you. So like storyboards are like rough early versions of a finished product, maybe.
Yeah, pretty
kind
much.
of leaning towards that. Like part of it too, though, because I've seen some comic books that are really rough, and they're like they just called it done. So I think that's part of it too. It's like, what was the artist's intention? Like, is this meant to be a storyboard, or is this meant to be a comic book? Because like I said, I've seen some really rough comic books, but I still enjoyed them, and I've seen some storyboards that were pretty well fleshed out. So it's a very, very blurred line.
I don't know. This feels like such a strange question to me. It's like asking, what's the difference between music and the staticky white noise that your TV gives off? It's like, I mean, I guess you could call white noise music if you were being like a fucking asshole about it.
What do you have against noise artists, Ollie?
Yeah, my God.
What does he have against fucking assholes?
Also that, yes.
That, like, noise, like, can be music if that's, like, the specific purpose. Like, I don't know, it's like storyboards and comics, they have very different, like, intentions. They're trying to do different things. So it just seems strange to me to, like, try to calculate what the precise difference between them is. But maybe that's just me.
Well, I mean, that you can start right there. Their function is their primary functions are completely different. Like a storyboard serves, primarily in like the film and television world, to kind of they're like aids or cues for eventual film. This, like a comic book, now it could be argued that they're visual aids or cues to be made into film, but I don't think that like it's not their intended purpose, and it shouldn't be, even though it is. Image Comics, I'm looking at you.
You know, I think a question we always ask is like, could this be made into a movie? And I think this, I mean, you know, I think he does take a lot from his work in working in movies, and he does, you know, it is very cinematic. You know, it might be, you know, like I think we talked about Milo and Otis. So, but yeah, no, it's, and you know, it's, I guess it's a story that I don't think necessarily needed to be entirely in a comic book form. Like he could have adapted it to a movie, and you know, dinosaurs fighting dinosaurs. I would have loved an Eddie medium. So appeals to the 6-year-old in me.
Well, it appeals to the 36-year-old in me. So I love dinosaurs. I'll love dinosaurs till I'm dead. So until I'm extinct.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it would be a beautiful movie, but probably be the highest grossing movie with no words, at least the only one I've ever seen.
Okay, you just imagine Morgan Freeman narrating. And then he rips this other dinosaur apart. Now they'll be fed for a week. Oh, but so-and-so.
March of the Penguins.
Yeah.
But would this movie be different than a silent film? Because, I mean, like...
Well, but it wouldn't really be silent. There would still be, like, sound. It just wouldn't
Okay,
have
no doubt. All right, okay, all right.
If a dinosaur roars in the forest.
Okay.
I hate it.
Yeah, I don't think it could be silent. Like completely. There would have to be some kind of scoring, and there would definitely be like Foley and sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
You need Faye Ray screaming in the background.
Also that. You'd have to scrape it off of another soundtrack though.
You at some point in one of those fights you throw in the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining a velociraptor, knocked off a cliff. Yeah.
Did anyone have a favorite story, or I know you just mentioned they blended together, but any particular favorites?
I did like the last one the best. I think that whole journey kind of built some suspense and anticipation and wondering where they were going. For the longest time I thought, oh, it's going to end with the asteroid hitting the Earth and killing them all. And now they wind up in Eden. So
no, but
nice
Mike,
ending.
here's the thing though. The dinosaurs, they're going to get a bunch of dinosaur oil miners, and they're going to put them on a spaceship. And they're going to go onto the asteroid and drill a hole, and then they're going to put them in the hole. And wait, I'm sorry, what were we talking about again? The best stories. I think the first and third were probably the strongest. I would say the second was the weakest.
My favorite was when the father went to Sinclair Oil and his boss was like, Sinclair, you're really bad. And he goes home and the baby was like, I'm the baby or whatever.
Not the mama.
I like
Not the mama. Yeah.
Like version of the show.
Keith?
And he's like, I am the...
Patrick is trying to speak right now. You're being very rude.
It's fine. Fine. I think I like the third story overall, but I prefer the art from the first two stories.
More colorful.
Yeah, I'd agree.
His style just, I felt, got a little looser in the third story, but it still looks good and I think is appropriate, but I just, from an aesthetic perspective, I prefer the style from the first two.
I think that's fair.
Kind of like how cartoony it got though in the third one. Like when the little baby Triceratops was like going after that fruit, it was very cartoony and ridiculous, but I felt like it still fit for some reason.
Well, I noticed that
that annoyed, well, not the book, but the Triceratops, because I'm like, you stupid child. Like, anyway.
I love that part. It's like, oh, you're going to die.
And you have no one to blame but yourself.
Exactly.
I didn't notice that the copyrights, like, it started in the early 90s and then goes through like 2013. So like, was this just published whenever he felt like it? Like, was this, I couldn't tell if this was like an ongoing labor of love. There's not a lot of information about this. At least I didn't find it.
I did look it up. The first story was 93. The second one was 97, I think. And then it wasn't until 2009 that the third one came out.
Yeah.
Chris, your audio sounds like you're talking to us from the moon, bro.
Oh, sorry.
It could be on the moon.
You can change the background to what Miguel had. Be from space.
I
But,
think he just did these whenever he could.
I told Mike to try calling one of the phone numbers.
Okay.
So he's going to try that now because he's starting to get frustrated.
Guys, I just got
That's
in,
fine.
so I don't know why poor Mike is struggling.
Hamster.
Okay.
Just
What if
make
we
me
had Mike call somebody who's on the stream now, and they just put Mike on speakerphone, so he can talk through that person's mic?
I tried to walk him through the steps. I told him to click join and enter the number, and then it asked for the password. It was super easy.
Oh boy.
Also, like, Mike did not know the difference between a browser and an app, and God bless that man.
How does he do? He works with like video equipment and stuff. How is he so good with technology but so bad with technology?
He
What is
works
happening,
with
Mike?
video equipment.
I really hope he just cuts and
You know what?
pastes stuff to edit stuff like in the old days.
Some souls are just too innocent.
Oh,
There he
something's
is.
happening. Something's happening.
You made
Okay.
it.
Maybe.
Hi.
Do you see me?
This is the most thrilling thing.
Hello?
I feel like there's
Like-
dinosaurs in front. Yeah. So I'm gonna get a beverage while that's happening.
Okay. Sorry. Hold on a second. Mike, we can only see like a telephone icon.
Okay. Just a minute. I'm going to try to. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And we
so how do
definitely
I?
weren't saying terrible things about you.
No, of course
Just a
not.
minute ago.
Is Alicia there?
Yeah, I made it.
I don't understand. Why can't I get in? This is ridiculous.
Try it again.
You're old.
Oh, good. See, now there's a countdown again. 9 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh no.
We've already gone another 40 minutes? Holy shit. Jesus Christ.
It took me like a half an hour, Mike, to figure it out.
Well, before we get shut down again, can I show you
No.
my favorite
It's not figured out.
scene in the whole movie, in the whole book?
Yes,
Yeah.
please do.
Sure.
All right. Let's see. I think it's. Oh no, I have to allow it to share my screen.
I
No.
thought it was
I'm
free.
rota-
The outbreak was over. No? I thought so.
Never mind. I can't do it right now. I'll change it to
what
my
was it?
background in a
You
second.
should print it out.
Mail it to us.
Yeah, I'm gonna screen cap it and then change it to my background. I was gonna try to screen share,
Yes.
but it's the scene right after the aerial dogfight scene, where the two types of pterodactyl type creatures are fighting, and then one of their nests gets struck by lightning, which is
That was
great. But right after that, there's this great little picture where these guys here are laughing their heads off over the plight of these guys here. And I really, really like that.
Oh yeah, there was when the T-Rex is fighting the giant water dinosaur. There's like a pterodactyl that's like flying through the combat. It's like, oh no, you know, it's got like this crazy expression on his face. It was like, this adds nothing to the story, but I love that guy was there.
Also, there were those weird little nautilus like absolutely everywhere too.
Do we want to try to wrap up, or do we want to reconvene when it interrupts? Because I think it's going to.
I think we should wrap up.
It's 7 minutes.
I'd agree.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
All right, let's do the usual.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to keep it at 8.5. I love dinosaurs. I love this art. I love this book.
I will up mine to an 8. I think I appreciate the book much more now that we've had the discussion.
I'll stick with my 7.5.
I don't remember what my other score was, but I'm going to go with an 8. I feel like it was close to that. But I agree with Mike.
I will give the book. Well, I'll keep it. I think I gave it a 7. It's going to stay a 7. But I give Sean's petting technique an 11. For like pleasure and comfort and love. Look at that. Did you see that little face? It was so cute. Anyway, that's it.
I gave it an 8.5. I was just off a fresh high from finishing the book. And I really wish we had more to say, and that we didn't. I'm going to drop it to, I think, 7 3/4.
Okay, I'll go next. I think I'm going to keep it at my 9. I just really love the art. And for me, the art is like 90% of it. So keeping it at a 9.
I'll go next. So first, we seem to have difficulty figuring out the order here. So what I'm going to propose is everybody roll a d20, and then you add your dexterity modifier, and then
Stop wasting time. We only have 5 minutes.
Trying to run up the clock.
I already said everything I need to say. It's an 8.
I want to leave mine at an 8. I wasn't as big a fan of some of the coloring as some other people were. I did like this Triceratops with like the rainbow zebra stripe scene, but I don't know. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Still. Go.
I'll give it an 8. I give it an 8.5, and it was definitely like I was kind of wondering what we would talk about, because but I like dinosaurs, so it's still a great book in my opinion. And I never would have found this if it wasn't for book club, so I appreciate the selection. And then definitely appreciate that, because it's like this has been out for a while, and it doesn't seem to be you were saying
It's not a big deal at all, but I feel like it should be.
Yeah.
This should be more well known, definitely.
Yeah. So thank you for selecting that.
Who hasn't gone? Chris?
He typed it. He said he gave it an 8. He was sticking with it.
Got it. Okay. And now that Mike is back.
Welcome, Mike. Just in time to.
Hey.
Oh, there he goes.
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your final score, Mike?
It's the same. I give the conversation a 5.10 because I learned half of it. So I mean 5 out of 10.
I like that average.
That's not the conversation's fault. I give Mike a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
That's actually high.
Did everybody go?
You know what, Juniper? Don't talk about our sweet baby boy that way.
How much time do we have left?
3.5 minutes.
3 minutes.
So the schedule says our next book is supposed to be Hellboy Volume 1, Seed of Destruction. That was Johnny Baloo's pick, but we haven't seen Johnny lately. Are we going to stick with that and hope that he joins us?
I would say no.
I mean,
Does anyone not want to read Hellboy though?
I don't mind.
I totally want to read it.
Actually, I do want to read it.
Okay.
I would love to reread it and talk to it.
All right,
Like,
so
talk about it with
let's
people.
keep that. And then the date would be, oh, no, we don't have to worry about anybody not being around.
Yeah.
April 18th.
Okay.
7 o'clock.
Okay.
I have already paid for a Zoom membership, so I'll go ahead and set up the meeting if that's what everyone wants.
Thank you.
Okay.
I thought this was the premium, but apparently not.
No.
That's what you get for working for a public institution.
I have more sick time than you, Keith.
I have none, so
Aha.
yeah.
Let's just keep talking and fighting until the time runs out.
The weirdest, like,
Whoever gets the last word in wins.
Just not physically.
Is everyone? Are y'all okay? You look okay. You don't look stir crazy.
Alex, how's
Oh yeah, how's
Kroger?
Kroger? I was concerned.
Yeah.
Fucking
Kroger?
terrible.
What?
Aw.
Fucking
He's our
terrible.
frontline service worker now.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, we appreciate.
Yeah.
A
Like a
bona fide
$25 coupon.
superhero.
Should we try a different app for next time?
I'm going to vote yes.
No, I mean, if we lift the time restriction, I think it's totally good.
Yeah, it works for me.
Well,
Maybe we'll give it another shot. And if we don't have a
Definitely.
time
For a while,
restriction
Mike.
next time, it'll probably work better.
Sounds good. Does anyone want to grab a drink after this?
I mean, I'm getting one here, but
I think Michael needs a drink after this.
We
I'm
can
just
drink
gonna
for another 40 minutes if we
start
want.
waving
Yeah.
now.
Several drinks.
After party and like.
It
even
keeps
Zoom
saying
hangouts.
less than a minute, less than a minute. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna start waving.
Well, it was great. Missed you.
Miss you guys.
Yeah.
You guys, miss you.
Bye,
Wait.
everybody.
I'm honestly super lonely.
Oh no, Joey! Oh.
Well, we
It's okay.
can always chat 40 minutes at a time.
Joey, if you want to do a drink and draw, I would totally be down. We could do like an internet drink and draw.
Yeah, well, I mean, my group is playing trivia online. So if you have Facebook, I've been sharing the link to MacFlash Trivia on YouTube. We've been playing that live, so maybe we could do that on Monday.
Okay.
Maybe.
This is the first interacting with other people I've had in like a week. Other than my
Other
work
than
hasn't shut down.
attorneys, which you don't count as people.
No, no one counts those people.
Fair.
I just got the new Animal Crossing, so I'm totally ready to hibernate with my TV.
yes.
All right, 5, 4, 3,
Three,
2,